This week, we take a deep dive into why so many of us in our 40s and 50s demonize the opposite sex while also trying to date them. And later, Ashley's boyfriend's bedtime routine just isn't working for her. Is it a big deal? You decide. Welcome to the talking phase. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Talking Phase podcast. My name is Tom, and as always, I am joined by the world's greatest co-host, Pam. How you feeling today, Pam?
I am feeling great now that I'm back inside under the air conditioning today. It is smoking hot out there in Raleigh, so feeling much better now.
I think the whole country is suffering from a heat wave right now.
It's terrible, terrible.
Well, I'm glad you're inside, not dying of a heat stroke. That's always good. I mean, not only are you a great person, but want to keep the podcast going. So,
thank you. Thank you for that.
All right, everybody out there, if you are new to the show, or if you've been you've been listening to the show and you're wondering who owns that voice that just drops in from time to time, well, that's Brian. Brian is our amazing producer who makes up literally 100% of our live audience and the guy who makes the show possible. Brian, all systems go?
All systems go. Tom, Pam, it is great to join you this evening. I got cooked today. I was out swimming in the pool. I'm on vacation. Was out in the pool. I said, I'm only going to be out here for a few minutes, which turned into a few hours, which turned into me being about medium rare or so, but doing good today. Tam and Pam. That's a new one.
Whatever our names are. It's irrelevant.
Yeah, don't worry. I did not have a stroke. I'm good.
There you go. It's a heat stroke.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, last week I went to a restaurant with a sales partner and he ordered a steak rare plus. And so I think that's what you are, Brian, is rare plus.
Rare plus indeed.
Put some aloe on that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Pam, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty damn good about life right now. Brian and I work together for our day jobs. And we had a company meeting today, and we were both called out as kind of some guys that were doing the right stuff at work. So it's always good to be recognized. It's always good to know that our bosses know who butters their bread.
Oh, that is nice. I'm glad to hear that for both of you. Two of my favorite men getting called out.
Thank you, Pam.
Brian laughing.
Yeah. But our two separate areas and our joint area, we kind of work separately, but also we have a joint program that we work together. But those are the two programs that were called out. So it was kind of cool. But I will say that, living here in Atlanta, not only is it hot, just like you were saying, the nickname Hot Lanta is not for nothing, right?
No, I've heard that.
But living here, it's a fine place. I'm not in love with Atlanta. Probably won't be staying here for too much longer. Obviously, I miss my kids, but I'm pretty excited. I don't know if I've told you this. I think I've mentioned it here on the show. I'm actually going to go back to Salt Lake for a week or two in September, and I realized something today that's interesting about that. I was in Salt Lake for my dad's 90th birthday. Now, his birthday is August 17th, but we celebrated it on the Friday before. On Friday the 13th. And this year, my extended family is getting together on September 14th. And so we decided to celebrate my dad's birthday a few weeks later. So it's his 93rd birthday, and we're celebrating it once again on Friday the 13th. I don't know what the hell is wrong with us.
I don't know, but it seems like it's working for him. And he's 93 years old. I mean, kudos. That's either he has very clean living or only the good die young.
Yeah, well, he is a Shiite Mormon, so it is the clean living.
Well, hey, it's working. Maybe we should all convert over again for you back to that long life.
I could regress. Well, I do want to say this. The cousin thing that I'm doing on the 14th is so crazy to me now that I'm kind of out of the Mormon bubble.
Right.
Because my mom was the oldest of 8 kids. And those 8 kids and their spouses cranked out 49 total kids.
Holy cow, that's a lot of kids.
Yeah. So I had, there were 6 in my family. So if you take those away from the 49, that means I had 43 cousins, or have 43 cousins. And of course, they're all grown and married and having kids of their own. And so every other year we get together in the late summer and we have what we call the cousin connection. And this year's cousin connection, it's always in Salt Lake because most of them still live in Utah. But it'll probably be about 250 people that will be there that are all my cousins and their kids and their kids' kids.
That is insane. That is humongous. I think I have 4 cousins to my name. I mean, like, wow. That do you know everybody, or when you go, are you meeting some of them for the first time?
Oh, when you have 49 cousins, there are those that are close enough to my age that I recognize. I have cousins that I couldn't pick out of a lineup. But I will say this before we move on, and before I ask you what you're doing. Today, as we record, one of my very favorite cousins, and I'm going to call her out because I know she listens to our show. Her name is Allie. Today is her birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Allie.
I won't tell you how old she is because that's not polite, apparently. But I will say she's just slightly younger than me. There you go. So anyway,
well, I hope Allie, she has a happy birthday.
Yeah. All right. Last thing I'm going to talk about, and then I want to hear about you. This is about us. We just hit 202,000 followers on TikTok.
Which is huge.
That's insane. I know. I don't know why people like to watch us, but I'm glad they do. And so for those of you who are listening or watching this show, if you're not following us on TikTok, you might as well, because it's the same kind of discussions, the same kind of topics, but it's, just shorter version of what we're talking about here. We just don't do a lot of it together on TikTok since we live so far apart.
Right.
So anyway,
but you get a lot of us there. I mean,
that's true.
Every day you could get a little bit more of us.
Yeah. And my one of my most recent ones is one of my favorite TikToks. It's not getting the viewership that I would have expected, but I called it Swiping for God. It's one of the craziest dating stories I ever had with crazy Pastor Susan. But anyway, we have a lot of fun over there.
I would agree that is one of the craziest stories that I've ever heard, but Absolutely. It could only happen to you. And I think I almost mean that sincerely. It could only happen to you. And I think it's happened twice. Yes. You have to go to TikTok to hear Tom's stories about dating. But yes, things happen to Tom that possibly haven't happened to the rest of us.
Yeah. And I always am asked, people are always asking. In fact, Teach Me Teacher, one of my oldest followers on TikTok, literally asked me today, is this for real?
Do you make these up?
It is. Unfortunately, I've actually left out details in order to fit into the time frame of TikTok. So I people say, did you make some of this up? Or are you embellishing it? No, I'm actually, I don't know if this is a word, but I'm debellishing it. I'm actually downplaying. So
bonkers. That's the only word I can come up with for it. It is completely bonkers.
Right. Now, all right. So I want to hear what's going on. I understand you're going on a trip this week.
Well, I mean, yeah, this week is actually pretty good. I wish it wasn't so hot outside. We have a big concert tomorrow night. We're going to see Alanis Morissette. A bunch of us are going.
The happiest woman on earth.
Yeah, well, maybe, but like her music speaks to the 90s version of me. And so I really relate to those lyrics. And those are the same lyrics she's singing now because she doesn't write very much that's new, or at least that I've heard of. Yeah, so it's an outdoor concert. And then the following day on Friday, the kids and I are heading to the beach. Of course, Nikki's boyfriend, Adam, is joining us, and got a little Airbnb, and we're going to Carolina Beach. It's supposed to be a little cooler this weekend, and it's always a little cooler by the beach. So
sure.
It's very hard to wrangle the kids to go to the same place at the same time over the summer. So I am absolutely looking forward to having not some burnt skin like Brian, but like some nice toasty color that doesn't hurt when you touch it. So I'm excited about that. And
it definitely hurts when I touch it.
Oh,
just so we're on the same page.
God, no pun intended. Sorry. Stop touching it. If it hurts, I know you and Tom have a thing, but like you guys need to stop. Like if it hurts, stop touching it.
It doesn't hurt me.
Well, stop hurting him. Stop touching yourself, Brian, for goodness sake. What is happening here? Every time Brian comes in, our minds get dirtier. It's just, I think that might just be me. Sorry.
So you're going to the Carolina Beach. Is that what you called it?
Yeah, we're going to Carolina Beach.
I don't even know where that is. Where I mean, it's
Carolina. 2
Carolina.
hours east from here. It takes about 2 hours and 20 minutes to get there. So it's not too bad. It might not be as much fun with my son in the car. Everybody will be fighting over what they want to listen to, but it's generally a good time. Now, of course, this coming weekend is not going to be nearly as good as last weekend was.
Why was
Because,
that?
well, if people have listened to the last podcast, then they already know that you flew to Raleigh to visit me so that we could get to know each other better and talk about the podcast and come up with some crazy ideas to talk about here. And I think it's the more we get to know each other, the easier it is to kind of debate in person as much as we debate on the podcast, is what I'm learning.
Yeah, I will say that we had a great weekend. It was a lot of fun, and it was great getting to meet your kids and spend a little time there and getting to know them, because I don't know if anybody else out there has ever tried to do a podcast, or it's difficult to do something like this with a perfect stranger. And if you remember, anybody who has listened to us, Pam and I met online for the first time on TikTok on April 20th. So
Got it.
just like 10 weeks ago, give or take 10
Feels
or
like
11 weeks
10
ago.
years.
I know. And so it's not like we're like lifelong friends or anything like that. And so to try and do something like this, where you're trying to have a conversation, you're trying to be entertaining, you're trying to, talk about some stuff that can be pretty deep. It's better when you know this person. And so, yeah, I did. I flew up there. This is the second time we've actually met in person. It's great to meet Pam in person. And of course,
And
it's funny.
listen, we have pictures. So like if you want to see Tom eating ice cream in North Carolina, that's up on a video on TikTok. We can't put it on a YouTube or on a Spotify or on a podcast, but you can travel right on over to TikTok and see Tom eat ice cream at Sunny Skies. And that's just a shout out to Sunny Skies, because that is the best ice cream in North Carolina. Did you like it?
Oh, it was delicious. It was. Now, some of you guys know I've lost a lot of weight over the last 6 or 8 months, so I can't eat a lot. I used to be able. I could eat a pint of ice cream without even blinking an eye. But I ate a scoop and a half, and I was done.
I could
It
swear you
was.
finished it though. Did you not finish it?
Oh, I did, but I had to
Oh,
wait.
good. Okay. I
I,
thought you
I,
did.
I had
I
to
wa-
wait.
Well,
Had to wait for some room.
well,
But
I made
yeah,
the mistake of bringing some home, and let me assure you that I can still eat a pint of ice cream in one sitting. And I didn't mean that to happen, but ice cream happens. And we took some pictures too this weekend, which was really cool. So they're not up everywhere yet, but soon under the Talking Phase banner, you will see Pam and Tom instead of those silhouettes. And I'm really excited to see that everywhere. And
yeah,
for
you'll
people
see
to at
that.
least know what we look like if they're just listening to us on a podcast.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. So we've had a lot of really great discussions, and a lot of the stuff that we talk about is triggered or comes from some of the TikToks that we've made, or some of the comments that people have made to us
Mhm.
on TikTok. And again, for those who are not following us on TikTok, you don't have to understand what we're about to talk about, but it probably would give you a little bit more context, because maybe a week and a half ago or so, I put up a TikTok where I said that I think that the term living my best life is idiotic. And I will stand by that, because if you're on a dating site and you say, I'm living my best life, but I'm on a dating site, well, clearly, again, I'm not going to relitigate the meaning of best life, because in my world, if your life is already best, what the hell are you doing on a dating site trying to improve it? If it's best, there you go. You're done. Congratulations. But I'm not going to relitigate that part. But I will say one of the things, and what I'd like to talk to you about today, Pam, I made this TikTok and it did not say anything that I was attacking women. I was not saying that women need men. I was not saying that women are only complete when they have a man, or they're only happy when they have a man. I didn't say that. I didn't imply that. And yet, lots of women, lots of them. I'm not talking about a half a dozen or so. I'm talking literally hundreds of women have commented and are fucking pissed at my comment that, well, not my comment, my non-comment. They
Mm,
think that I have said that women are only happy if they have a man. So I have a question for you.
okay.
why are these women, and I'm only saying women because the men aren't responding this way because I don't know. Well, I don't know why. So here's my question. Why are these women so anxious to demonize me? I mean, I haven't done any like studies or, I haven't done a statistical sampling or anything, but it sure seems like a lot of women really, really hate men in general. And right now, me in particular. So
Mm.
why is that? You're a woman.
Well, last time I checked, I was indeed a woman. I saw the video, and my first inclination was to comment on the video that I believe that people use the saying living my best life as more of an expression of being healed, of being at a better place in their life. They're no longer in a bad marriage. They're no longer dependent on a man financially or mentally. They're getting out there. They're making new friends. I don't really believe that when somebody writes living my best life on a dating app, they've taken much time to think about the meaning behind it. And I
Clearly.
completely, right. I understand the black and white meaning. Clearly, if you are already living your best life, you should stop right there and live it. But I think that women are really trying to come across as not needy on these dating apps. They want a man to look at them and say, all right, here's a woman living her best life, whether she is or not up for debate, or clearly not, if it's just a black and white statement. They don't need a man. They don't want a man. They're already happy, but they're still entertaining the idea of a relationship. So I think when you made that video, it didn't come with a trigger warning, but in hindsight, it set off a lot of triggers with women, because what they did was they went and they killed the messenger. You were the one saying, I'm looking at the dating apps, and you're looking at women's profiles. And so
But
they thought you
before
were
they
speaking.
killed the messenger, they
Right.
created a message.
Yes, they did. And yes, I saw that. And that was my first inclination also. I don't think it came from a place of hate. I think it came from a place of, who the fuck are you to tell me that I'm not living my best life? I am living my best life. And I made a video after Tom's video saying, listen, I understand where the ladies are coming from. I don't have that on my dating profile, but I can understand why saying living my best life is something that you're trying to send a message to the men that see you that, hey, I'm doing great. You're welcome to join. I'm doing great with you or without you. And so my video said, living my, what, gosh, I just forgot what my video said. It said better best. That there's a living my best life, but then there's a better best. There's something that comes after that. And it's just a little bit better, but you maybe didn't know it existed before. So you thought you were living your better life, your best life.
Well, again, I don't want to relitigate the meaning of living my best life. You and
Okay.
I have talked about that literally for probably 20 hours over the last 2
I
weeks.
feel
And
strongly.
again, I see things as black and white, which, for better or for worse, if someone writes something on their dating profile, I should be able to believe it. And I know that people lie, but I don't. I mean, that's starting a relationship on a lie. But that's not the question. Fine, we can disagree on the definition of living my best life. My question is, why am I the devil for saying that women are only happy if they have a man, even though I never said women are only happy when they have a man?
Well, I think the only way to talk about that is to just assume that regardless of what you said, that's what they heard. You're not living your best life because you're on a dating app. And so that was the same thing as saying to them, you're lying. And I think that is kind of what you're saying. And I know you didn't direct it only to women again. And I'm here to tell you that the men may not be writing living my best life on their profiles, but if you look at the comments that we get from men directed at my videos, they're really angry. They're sick and tired of women. The whole group of us are sick and tired, and women are sick and tired of men. And so the better question is, why is anybody on a dating app? Everybody's so frustrated and tired. Why aren't they just watching TV or hanging out with friends?
Well, that's a terrific question. So I guess so. Here I have a theory. Let me
Okay.
just throw this theory at you. My theory is that for whatever reason, for better or for worse, and please don't come after me because I'm not saying this is the wrong thing for anybody to do. I don't need the hate. The fact of the matter is, women, you've heard men say bros before hoes, and women say, women supporting women, right? And so it's all this, sisterhood thing. They
Yes.
got to be best friends, even if they hate each other. And so women tend to, and again, I am not saying as a general rule, but there are tendencies that women want to support women. And I support that 100%. But like, for example, if there were two candidates for president, one was a man, one was a woman, you agreed with both of their policies. Which one of them would you vote for?
If the only difference between those two candidates were being
Genitalia.
male and being, I would vote for the woman.
And why is that?
Because I don't want to get into anything political, clearly, but
Well, this isn't about Republican or Democrat. This is
I think
you
the
agree with
men
the
have
policy.
mucked it up the last few go rounds. So
Like the
I
last
think
46 go arounds.
well, however many, I feel like it's time for a woman's touch. I think that a woman leading the country would be much better at communicating what she wanted to the citizens of the United States than
Okay.
men that are either too old or yelling at each other or just being belligerent. I just think we need a woman's voice in there. So I'm not, I am a woman for women. I'd like to say I'd vote for the better candidate, but you made them identical. So that just vote for the woman.
So in your world, genitalia has some bearing on your voting, even if it's a small percentage.
Well,
So
I don't know about that. You didn't give me anything else other than genitalia, and we haven't had a woman president. So I think we're due for that.
yeah, no,
If you had given me some things about the man that were better, then I would absolutely vote for the man if he was a
okay,
better candidate.
okay, all right. That makes perfect sense. So the reason I bring that up is because I just, the comments, I keep calling it the hate, but it really kind of is you're a man, therefore you suck.
Or you don't get it.
Um, or I
Okay,
don't believe it.
You suck and you don't get it.
Yeah. So there was another video I did a few weeks ago. I think we talked about it on the show where some lady asked me to make answer the one question: why is it that men only want sex from us? And we talked about that on the show, and it's about generalization. I really dislike that, but I still get comments on that to this day. It's only 3 weeks ago, but I get these comments. And some lady the other day, she said, well, you're a man, so you obviously don't get it. And then she said, it's the vast majority. Now, unfortunately for her, I'd gotten in an argument with some other lady a couple of days earlier, and she had said the studies prove that it's the majority. So we looked up the studies, and the studies show that only 22% of men my age end up marrying or in long-term relationships. Was it only 22% end up with women more than 10 years younger than them? So it's a small percentage. It's 1 out of 5, not the vast majority. So I wrote back to this lady who was telling me that I'm a man, so I don't get it. And I told her the statistics. And I said, well, unfortunately, it's 22%. And she goes, I don't believe that.
But we get a lot of that on TikTok.
Yeah.
The non-believers that have never Googled a thing a day in their lives.
Right. Exactly. So it just seems like no matter what I say, no matter how many studies have been done, it all comes down to, it seems like there is a group of people, and I will say people because you said that men have the same issue. I don't see that as much, obviously. There's a group of people out there that flat out hate the opposite sex, yet they still, for some reason, think that we should somehow find a way to get married and have babies and live happily ever after. And I don't understand. So what are your thoughts? What else is causing this?
We'll call that wishful thinking. I think that those of us who are divorced, who are in long marriages, have developed a general distrust of the opposite sex. I think that lies a lot more with the person we had the long-term relationship with, that we then carry that feeling out of the marriage and into the dating world. And the dating world has given us dating apps where basically all we're doing is people shopping. And the dating apps, I think, are at least 75%, if not more, and that is something that I am guessing at, they are the reason that men and women have started to dislike each other so much. It's the ghosting and the disrespect and who's going to pay for dinner and all of that have made these people who have just ended their marriages, they're at an all-time low, but they still have this hope that somehow someone out there is going to help them to repair that damage. And so they're going into this world again after being in a relationship for what, 10, 20, 30 years. And the landscape is completely different. We're in our 50s now, and the biggest thing, and I mentioned this to you, the biggest problem that I see and why women are so sensitive lately is because if you're a woman in your 40s or 50s, it doesn't matter how well you take care of yourself or how great you look. The man that's equal to you, that is also swiping on that dating app and he's in great shape and he looks really good, he can date those women that are 10, 15 years younger than him. And so the older women are just feeling put out to pasture. And there's a bitterness from that.
I will say, again, there's never a hard, fast rule. There are always exceptions to any rule, but as a general statement, the anger that I hear from these women about this fake misogyny, this fake outrage or the fake messages that they somehow read into my message, the outrage increases with age.
No, I can't even argue with that. I don't remember. I'm not angry now and I'm 56, but I would venture to guess that my friends that are in their 40s and 50s were never angry people before they got married and came back out into the dating landscape as it is today. I think that we're living in a post-COVID world where a lot of people, including myself and my daughter, spent 2+ years, stuck at home. And that time you're thinking this is time when I'd be getting back out there and I'd be dating. And then we come out of COVID and all of a sudden we're like, yes, it's our time. We're going to find somebody on Hinge or Bumble or one of these dating apps. And you know what they're finding? Nothing.
Garbage.
Yeah. They're not finding people that they think are the equivalent to them. And I am absolutely guilty of this myself. I definitely have swiped right on people that I felt would be a good match based on the silly picture and the silly profile, no matter what it said. And I've never seen Living in My Best Life, but I've seen a lot of fish pictures. And no, I did not swipe right on those. I don't like to fish, but at the end of the day, I have waited for some of those people to swipe right. Now, was it the dating? I prefer to tell myself the dating app just kept them for seeing my swipe because I don't pay for the dating app. But it's very possible that they were like, she's all right, but she's 56 and I got this 46-year-old. So women are pissed, Tom. They're pissed. They're pissed at their options. They're pissed that they're being looked over. And so they're quote unquote living their best life on their profile is kind of a fuck you to men.
I agree with that 100%, which is why I said to you, and I think did I say it on the show last time? That's an automatic swipe left for me. If someone says living my best life, well, I don't want to fuck their life up.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. And
you
by
can
the way,
date me. I don't have that on my profile.
There you go. So options are open. All right. I'll have to break up with Brian first.
Yeah.
So my question to you were just talking.
Whoa.
Oh, what was that?
Whoa.
False alarm. Keep going.
Did Brian fall asleep on the mic?
All right.
No, my trigger slip.
Where were we?
Well, I was going to go back and ask you a question, Pam, because you just said something really interesting to me.
All right. Hit it.
So you said that you swipe right on a guy and he doesn't swipe back. And you said that I can't remember exactly how you said it, but the reason that you gave, or one of the reasons that you gave that it might happen, is that he has younger options.
Yes, I think so. That's what I tell myself, at least.
Okay. So um, doesn't that just perpetuate the stereotype that we just talked about, is really only 22% of men feel that way?
Well, I mean, let's face it. We don't know who did that poll. We don't know if it's really 22%.
Temple
Like,
University,
well,
22,000 men.
it's like the cheating poll. I mean, okay, so 22%. So maybe you're right, and they just don't like me, and it has nothing to do with age. But at the end of the day, I think that my explanation is still solid, that the best looking men get to choose from multiple age groups. And you were saying 10 years. I mean, what if it's just 5 years? What if somebody doesn't like the number 50? So they're going for women that are 48 or 49. That's outside of that 10-year mark, but it still might be a lot more appealing than a 56-year-old, because let's face it, the older we get, the more problems we're going to have.
Mhm.
And why should the hottest men in their 50s, or God, even in their early 60s, why should they not pick the cream of the crop? And this is in their opinion. I personally think that myself and my friends are the cream of the crop, but that doesn't mean that we actually are. But I think a lot of us are not getting a chance. And that promotes bitterness and anger.
Okay. Well, I guess we're going to have to disagree, or agree to disagree on that. Again, 78% are getting a chance, according to the study.
But 10
And
years.
there are multiple studies, by the way. I'm sorry, what's that?
I said, but 10 years younger, not 8 years or 9 years or 7 or 6. Like, those are all still much younger. Even though I thought the study was just people 10 years
Yeah,
younger.
it was 10 years
Well,
younger.
that's a
But
big range. And I could be wrong. I'm guessing. I don't know what goes through a man's mind. Like, and I don't really think about it. Like, if I swipe right, it's not like they're stuck in my mind. I'm just moving on to the next person that's on my phone. I think that dating apps and people shopping in general, even if it's not about age, is about, no matter what, you could be a 3 and you still want a 10 at the end of the day. And so everybody out there, and I can only speak for women because my friends are women. I don't have many male friends. And yeah, we do bash dating apps and we do bash men. And I hate to admit that to you, but like, I think that bashing men is a lot easier than saying, what's wrong with me?
right.
Why don't they like me? Why don't they want to date me? And so we all have enough self-esteem to pin it on the man. And so when I said don't kill the messenger, you were the messenger in that case.
Yeah, again, but they invented the message. The other thing is, it's kind of like, I can't remember the movie, and it's probably happened in multiple movies, but some guy tries to hit on a woman and she rejects him, and so he just goes lesbian. So it's the same concept, where if she doesn't like me, therefore she must only like women. And you're saying, you know, women might hate men or give men shit because it's easier than admitting that they may not be what
As
that man is looking
desirable.
for. Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like I think hate is a really strong word. I don't think that I don't think I've ever seen anything in my group chat that said, I hate men. You can say, I had a bad date, I hated that man. I mean, we're intelligent enough to not group men together, but I do see that like gang mentality in the comments, where like they're pissed, they're mad, and they're mad at everybody. And then I made a video and the comments were, I'm going to be single forever. I have no desire to ever be with a man again. I'm not interested. That phase of my life is over. And they're 40 or they're 50 and they have just written off men. And I'm happy for them if they're happy, but I
Right.
don't think that they're happy. I
Yep.
think they're just exhausted.
Yep. I think that's probably the case. Well, I think we've beaten that horse to death.
A little
Um,
bit.
so let's just face the fact that men and women are different.
Yes.
Um, all men are different from all women, and all women are different from other women. And men, please don't lump women together. And
Yes.
women, we're not all bad. And when a man says something, please don't look for a reason to be angry at him. Don't invent problems that don't exist. And again,
Yeah.
men maybe do it too, Let me put that disclaimer.
They do. I mean, you've seen enough of the comments on my videos to know that the men feel exactly the same way. And I always just say the same thing to everybody. One bad apple or a few bad apples does not ruin the bunch. If you're done, you're done. I've never felt like I was done. I still swipe. I'm still open, to my next best relationship. And so, in the meantime, I'm living my best life. Ha ha ha.
Well, there you go. So I think what we ought to do is move on to our next segment, which we call sliding into our DMs.
You've got mail.
That never gets old for me. It takes me right back to the freaking 90s. I swear to God. All right. So today's letter, I'm going to jump right in. It says, Pam and Tom, my boyfriend and I have different bedtime routines, and he prefers to stay up much later than I do. I would love for us to go to bed at the same time because I think it's more romantic and it helps us stay connected. However, he seems quite resistant to changing his schedule. He stays up late every night on his computer, and I understand he enjoys gaming with his friends, but I want to be a priority, and I want to be a priority every night, not only when he wants sex. I don't know how to address this without causing tension between us. How can I approach this conversation or find a compromise that works for both of us? Thank you so much for your help, Ashley. So Ashley wants to know how to get her boyfriend into bed and off the computer. The first thing that comes to my mind, are you sure he's playing games on the computer? Because I was married. That's not what he was doing on the computer when he stayed up late.
Okay. I mean, that's always a possibility. But just like we said, not all men are the same.
Mhm.
I guess, it's an interesting thing, and I feel bad for her. I feel bad for Ashley and whatever. Do we have a name for her
No, we sure
boyfriend?
don't.
What should we call him?
Not Thor.
Okay.
Let's call him Loki.
Loki. All right.
Yes.
So I feel bad for Ashley and Loki. But because I think it is a challenge, but I think one of the things that Ashley needs to understand, and again, I can only speak from my own personal experience. I always prefer to go to bed at the same time when I was married. I thought that was, the right thing to do, not because I was going to be up gaming. I'm not a gamer. Nor was I going to be up looking at porn either. I thought it was it seemed like the thing to do, the marital bed thing.
So you were having sex every night. No wonder you went. I'm kidding. I don't know what you were doing.
Yeah. But no, far from it. But that actually plays into my point is unless he suffers from ED, unless he's secretly gay, he wants sex every night and he hopes for sex every night. He knows he's not going to get it every night, but he hopes for that. And so going to bed at the same time is volunteering for rejection every night.
But how does he know he's going to be rejected? You can't win if you don't play.
Well,
So by not going to
my
bed
guess
with her,
is that when they first got married, they probably got to bed and went to bed together every night.
I don't even, hold on a second. I didn't get the impression. No, it's her boyfriend. They're not married.
Oh, right.
So
Boyfriend.
they haven't even gotten married yet, and she's already upset about sex. And or not upset about sex, but upset about going to bed at the same time. And when I was married, we never went to bed at the same time because my ex went to bed earlier than me and I stayed up later, probably because he knew we weren't going to have sex. But I didn't have a huge problem with that, but it has definitely been in the back of my mind that in a future relationship, I do like the idea of going to bed at the same time as somebody. Even if there's no sex, I believe that I like the cuddling and watching TV and falling asleep next to somebody. So what's wrong with that?
Well, there are two things that come to my mind. That I don't know if it's wrong. It's just a different way of thinking about it. And again, I can't speak for all men. I can just say from this man's perspective, cuddling is erotic. Is that the right word? It's spooning your partner or cuddling with your partner, that, and then to just like good night. That's not a fun night.
So what is your suggestion for somebody who wants to go to sleep with her boyfriend and feel connected to him. And if you eliminate cuddling, and let's just say they had sex that afternoon, where's his motivation to go to bed at the same time if she's just leading him on?
Well, if they had sex that afternoon, that's a different thing.
Oh, so then it's okay to cuddle.
I'm not saying cuddling is bad, Pam, but again, let's not invent a message.
Just trying. Oh, low blow, Tom.
Oh, yeah, truth hurts.
Oh. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out what you know, as far as Ashley is concerned, like if she sits down and has a conversation with him and says, "Listen, I want us to go to bed at the same time," I feel like Loki's going to say, "Hey, you know, that's when the best gaming is happening, and I don't really want to go." And if I'm 100% honest, that's one of those things that I would much rather find out about somebody before I married them or let the relationship go. If it's really that important to her.
Right. That's the question. It's how important is this to you? Because I mean, if you're gonna, if Ashley, if you're gonna put your foot down and say, Loki, if we're gonna make this work, we have to go to bed at the same time. Well, then you're basically asking Loki to choose between, you know, going to bed on time or on time at the same time or gaming. Because like you said, you know, the best gaming may happen at 9:30 at night or whatever time. I mean, who knows? Maybe she goes to bed at 8:30 at night. Who knows? We don't know what time she goes to bed
Oh,
either.
that is a good point. So there maybe there's a compromise in there. Maybe she stays up later and watches some TV. And I don't know what time they're going to bed, but like most people, especially boyfriend girlfriend scenario, they're both working, and you would think there'd be some kind of a reasonable bedtime. Is he staying up till 2 a.m? I don't know. Is he playing video games? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I can understand her point. And if I'm Ashley, I think that I just sit down and have a conversation about how I feel. And, you know, she could listen to this podcast with him and say, "Hey, if you want to feel connected to me and you want this relationship to last, then let's pick a time that works for both of us. Whether they're having sex or not, whether there's cuddling or not, is irrelevant. I mean, she's looking for a connection. He may not be the right guy for her."
Yeah, well, exactly right. And by the way, I was thinking back, but just what I said a few minutes ago, and I want to make sure everybody listening, I'm not suggesting, I'm not implying, I'm not saying, I'm not even hinting that it's her job to have sex with him every night so that he goes to bed at the same time. So please, let's not invent that message either. You know, I call that the pity fuck. There are no pity fucks here. Don't do that.
Right. Well, I certainly don't think she should have sex with him every night just to get him to go to bed at the same time. I think that we completely agree on that. I feel like this is an easily compromised subject for two people who are in love with each other, that are looking to stoke the fires of this relationship. And at the same time, I think that if he's only going to bed at the same time as her on nights where he thinks he's going to have sex, then that needs to be a part of the bigger picture, because it sounds like their feelings about bedtime are completely different. And that's probably really common with a lot of couples.
I assume it is. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think what you said is the most important thing. And I agree with you 100%. I think a lot of this, probably most things, could probably be figured out with just a sit down discussion. Now, if I remember, she said, I don't know how to address this without causing tension.
She's worried he's going to be mad or say no and they're going to break up.
Yeah. How can I approach this conversation to find a compromise? I would say, you know, it's a really, again, we're not there. I don't know what, you know, is it a 6-hour difference? Does he come to bed once a week and kind of demand sex? You know, we don't know a lot of those details, but I think a simple conversation of, "Hey, Loki, I want to feel more connected to you. And that, you know, to me, that looks like we go to bed more often at the same time. Maybe it's not every night. Maybe it's just more often. And you know, how would you feel about that? Is there anything that keeps you from doing that?" You know, I think that asking those questions rather than, you know, "You stay up all night gaming." You know, I mean, obviously that's not the way to approach it either.
Right. More as a conversation. Do not go on the offensive unless you're looking for an exit from the relationship, because this conversation could go very badly. He could say, I'm going to stay up as late as I want. We're not married. This is the time they're living together. So this is the time where you figure out whether somebody is the partner that you want to spend the rest of your life with. Because if you listen to the beginning of our show, as you're in your 40s and 50s and you find out a decade after you're married that this was a really big topic that you overlooked, and now you're just bitter and angry, you're going to wind up on dating apps. And that's really worst case scenario. So I suggest they both figure out a solution that works for both of them versus calling it quits because of a bedtime.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to be on TikTok writing nasty notes to Tom saying that all men stay up late gaming.
Or like the men that call me a crazy cat lady. Every time I talk about a bad date, every time I mention something that went wrong on a date, there's at least 5 men that say, you're going to be a crazy cat lady. And I don't even like cats. So it's like, dude, come on. But as far as Ashley goes, I just feel like this is a conversation and it's an easy one. That doesn't mean the answer is going to be easy, but I think they both need to figure out whether this relationship is the priority or the gaming or the going to bed together. Because maybe they just go to bed together and then he cuddles her and then he jumps up and goes back to the computer and plays games.
See, you know what? What would be wrong with that? I think that makes a lot of sense.
I didn't think of it until it was coming out of my mouth, but I was thinking that would probably be the solution for me. Because I don't care if anybody's in the bed next to me after I'm asleep. Like, go, whatever floats your boat. So maybe we gave her an alternative, but I don't know. When I was in my earlier years and we weren't married yet, I don't know. Would I have cared more? Probably not, but maybe. I don't know.
Huh. I didn't even think about that. That's a great solution.
Right.
So, but then Loki may think, oh, well, I might fall asleep. Well, then maybe you need
Good.
sleep. Yeah.
Good. Stay in bed with your girlfriend.
Yeah,
Maybe she'll marry
exactly.
you. So maybe you'll live happily ever after and you won't wind up on dating apps in your 40s.
Yeah, you don't want to end up on dating apps. I think we can absolutely agree on that. Even the women that are angry at me can probably agree with us on that one.
Right.
So
that's a majority. The majority of humans, men and women, are not happy with how dating apps are going. And the people who are happy with them got very lucky. And I applaud them for their perseverance.
Yep. Good for you. Happy for you.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, I feel bad for Ashley. I hope you and Loki figure this out.
Me too.
And I hope you'll let us know, please do a follow-up and let us know that whatever advice we just gave for whatever reason might actually work. Because neither of us are experts. We are
right.
not.
But we're trying. We're trying.
Yeah.
We're telling you what we would do. And we've been through it.
Yeah.
And after spending the weekend with Tom, I know for a fact that we have been through it. So you can trust it. If we say it, it's how we feel.
So here's another little tidbit. Neither Pam nor I attended college or graduated from college, I should say.
Right.
But we both have a PhD from the School of Hard Knocks. So, I think we have life lessons. So Ashley, thank you for sending in that email and sliding into our DMs.
Thank you very much.
And thanks to everyone out there who's been sending emails in. They're great to receive. We want to keep receiving them. So please keep sending them. So if you have a question for us, and again, for some reason you like our answers or think that we actually have something to add, or even if you'd like to suggest a topic for the show, if you just have an idea for us or something you'd like us to talk about, slide right into our DMs by sending us an email to talkingphase@gmail.com. I want to thank everybody out there for listening or watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do us a favor. Take just a second right now on whatever app you're using to rate and review. You don't need to write anything down, just a couple of words like, Pam's cute, or Tom.
I love Tom's hair.
Okay, whatever.
Oh, they can't see us, most of them.
Yeah, but whatever. Just whatever you're doing, just write a couple of words. It doesn't even matter. It's not even for our egos. It comes down to the algorithm in the podcast world. For some reason, ratings and reviews are what puts our podcast in front of more people. The other thing what you can do, if you like what you're hearing, please share this with your friends and your family. You don't need to send it to them and say, you could really use this advice. Just send it over and say, this is a cool podcast. That would be great. Don't forget, we have a new episode that comes out every single Friday morning. I screwed up last week and didn't set the release. at the right time, so it didn't come out till like 10 in the morning, but it generally comes out around 8 a.m., give or take. So apologize for my screw up, but hey, we're new at this. Be sure to follow us on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. We do most of our stuff on TikTok, and then we kind of repurpose it for the other things. So if you want to just go to the source, it's TikTok. So other than that, until next Friday, this is Tom and Pam signing off.
Have a great day, night, weekend.